Hello everyone, this is going to be the last video for today's lecture. Let's talk about how we can obtain details about the reason for which a specific exception occurs. So far we covered the try except blocks. What did we add inside the try block? We added the lines of code which potentially have an error or an exception. What did we add inside the except block? We added the print function call, which enabled us to display a meaningful error message for the user. Whenever your lines of code within the try block run into a particular exception or an error, your except block will get executed and that particular meaningful error message will get displayed to the user. Recall that the presence of the try except block enables our code to keep running even if we encounter a runtime error. So let me give you more details about the except block here. Instead of just saying except colon, we are going to say except space exception as E. Let me talk about each of these components over here. So what is this small case E? We are generating an exception object instance and adding a reference to that particular object instance into a variable called E. So this is going to help us get description of the error message or the exception message that we encountered. What type is going to be the object instance E here? It's going to be of the type called as exception, where E is capitalized. Exception is a very general type in Python. Majority of the errors that you encounter will belong to this blanket category of exception. How can we use the exception object that we just created? We can just typecast that into a string and we can get the reason for the occurrence of the exception. We can just add the typecasted string to our print function call over here to make the print function call display more details about the exception. Let's take this new learning to our pizza.py program. Before I improvise the except blocks over here, I just want to quickly fix one issue which I overlooked while previously adding the try except blocks. So I am missing a continue statement inside my first except block over here. Why is that so significant? When you encounter a case where the user input is bad, you don't really want to be doing pizza analysis, correct? So which means that you want to skip the rest of the iteration and go back to the next iteration of your for loop. Why is that not needed in your second except block over here? Because that's the last line of code inside your for loop. You're going to automatically go back to the beginning of the next iteration when you're done with that. So now that I'm done fixing my mistake, let's go back to making our except block better over here. I'm going to say exception as E. And instead of having this really long error message, I'm simply going to say bad input and reason is. Let me typecast my exception object instance into str and I'm going to display that. I'm going to add one more print function call here to display the type of exception. How can I do that? I can just use the built-in type function call on this object instance E. So I'm going to replicate this to the second except block that we have down here. And let's go through a few example invocations. Give me just a second to update the error message over here, and I'm going to copy paste the other type print function call because that's going to be common for both of the except blocks over here. Alright, let me go ahead and kill the previous version of the program, clear my screen, and I'm going to run pizza.py one more time. Let's try out a few erroneous inputs. I'm going to say 10, hello. Recall that this originally used to just display invalid input. Please try again. Instead of that, now we are going to display the associated reason as well. So the reason says invalid literal for int with base 10 hello. That's because we can't typecast hello into int, correct? And what is the type of exception? We are running into value error. Let's go through a couple of more input cases where we had an issue. Let's say that I have only one input. I'm going to run into index error, and I'm going to mention the reason as list index out of range over here. What if we had a negative slice value? Actually, a negative diameter value. My apologies. So that's going to cause the second try block to throw an exception. And what are we observing here? We are getting pizza analysis error, but we are not getting any reason message associated with that particular exception, right? Why is that the case? We created that exception by asserting that radius should be greater than or equal to 0. So the type is going to be called as assertion error. We are going to come back to this particular example later on, and I'm going to show you how you can add details while asserting something. All right, so let me go through one more erroneous input over here. Let's do zero division error 1. So if I say 10 comma 0, this time we are getting pizza analysis error, and the reason for that is zero division error, and the type of exception is zero division error. Notice that we are seeing a keyword called class when we display the type of exception. We are not going to go into details of what a class is in this particular course. Just try to understand that whatever is being displayed after that is what matters to us when it comes to observing the type of exception. All right, let me go back to my slide deck, and let me talk about how we can catch specific exceptions instead of catching the blanket exception type. We use the syntax except exception as E to capture a lot of error messages, but that's not really a good idea. What you should do instead is you should be catching specific exceptions. For instance, we saw examples of 3 different runtime errors, which are value error, index error, and type error, correct? A better way to configure your except block would be to catch specific exceptions which you know that your program might throw when you use a bad input, rather than capturing this blanket exception over here. I'll show you why that is the case. Let's go back to our program over here, and I'm going to show you why it is a bad idea to capture blanket exception. Let's say that instead of having args in line number 2 for processing the input while splitting it, let's say that I had a typo and added one more s to it. Let me run the program and let's see what's going on. So I'll try valid input. I'll say 10 comma 8. Notice that we are able to capture that exception in the except block code runs, and we are displaying the reason as name args is not defined, and you're running into name error. Notice that we just keep going back to the user prompt. What will happen if I enter another set of valid input? You're going to get the same error, correct? That's kind of not a good idea. Why is that the case? Our except block is too generic that it's able to capture any kind of exception. That's not what we want, right? What is the use if it captures name error kind of issues which obviously need our attention and needs to be fixed immediately? So the way that you can handle that is, instead of saying exception here, you can say specific error types like value error, type error, and give me just a second, what was the other error? Index error. Index error. Okay, so what's going to happen now? Let me go ahead and save this program and run it one more time. Let's try valid input. Notice that now the program is crashing. That's because we have run into an exception which we totally did not expect. So that really needs our immediate attention. So if I go now and fix that, if we try any of those error input cases where I had buggy input, I'm going to run into the same display as I had previously. So this is so much better than having a blanket exception to capture all the errors that occur in your program. Why is that the case? Because you want to avoid capturing certain kinds of exceptions which really need your immediate attention. I'm going to give you a general rule of thumb over here. Follow either of these things. Either make sure that you're always catching specific exceptions instead of a general exception, or make sure that you have a print function call inside your except block to display a meaningful error message to the user. A lot of students leave an except block as an empty block. That is allowed in Python, but that doesn't really make any sense. I would strongly recommend you to capture specific exceptions and also display the meaningful error message for the user over here. Let's talk about exception hierarchy. So we spoke about the general blanket exception type, and we spoke about specific types of exception. So there is this whole big hierarchy that is defined in order to show you the relationship between various types of exceptions in Python. So all of these are going to be classes, but we're not going to worry about the term class. So for our purpose, we are going to assume all of these are specific types. So exception is not the most generic type. Base exception is the most generic type. Recall that when I just had an except colon block and when I changed the for loop into a while of true, I showed you that the program will keep running forever, right? That's because when you have an except block just with except colon, you're just capturing a base exception, and keyboard interrupt is which represents control C, right? Keyboard interrupt is a subtype of base exception. So when you're capturing a base exception by simply saying except colon, even keyboard interrupt will be part of that. So that's how the hierarchy works. So base exception has few subtypes of exceptions, which include exception, and exception has many subtypes of exception, which includes assertion error, name error, and so on. It's kind of intimidating hierarchy to go through. It's not required that you need to know all of this by heart. Clearly, no one can sit and memorize this whole big hierarchy over here. Just get a general sense that there is this hierarchy and that exceptions have a specific ordering of parent and child associated with it. Let's talk about how we can produce a specific kind of error and not just an assert statement. I just showed you an example case where the reason for the assertion is not shown, correct? Recall that we discussed that we could have an if condition to deal with an assert or have an assert statement to deal with it, right? Because in both of those, we are using the same conditional to evaluate something. So let's go back to using if conditions instead. Let me give you an example as to why this might be helpful for you. Let's go back to talking about the exception hierarchy just for a minute. Let's say that your program displays an assertion error. Instead of displaying an assertion error, wouldn't it be beneficial if you're displaying a specific zero division error or an arithmetic error for that instance? How can you do this? You're going to use the raise keyword to do this. This is going to be the last keyword that we learn in today's lecture. Let me give you an example with respect to the pizza program here. So I'm having a version 1 here where I have an assert statement which is asserting radius is greater than 0. Instead of doing that, I could have an if condition saying if radius is less than or equal to 0, which is negative pizza, then I want to raise a specific type of an exception instead of just having this assert statement create an assertion exception. We are specifically raising an arithmetic error saying that the number of slices should be less than or equal to 0, or saying that radius should be greater than or equal to 0. Alright, let's take this last final learning and go back to pizza.py, and let's go back and fix our assert statement over here. Instead of saying assert radius is greater than or equal to 0, I'm going to say if radius is less than or equal to 0, then let's raise a general exception first. So I'm going to just say radius should be positive. Let's go back and run our program over here. I'm going to clear the screen one more time. I'm going to run the program, and we want to test the input as minus 10 comma 8, correct? Notice that now we are getting the type of this exception as exception instead of getting it as an assertion error. So how can we make this less generic? We can just make it raise an arithmetic error instead of saying just we'll raise an exception. So let me go ahead and save the program, and let's try the bad input one more time, which is negative value for the diameter. This time we are saying that we are running into an arithmetic error, and you can imagine adding different kinds of asserts here. For instance, I can assert that slice count should be greater than or equal to 0 inside my slice underscore size. So let me try to first add the assert here. I'm going to say slice count should be greater than or equal to 0. We don't want negative values for slices. So let me kill the program one more time, and let's try negative value for slice instead. So if I say minus 4, that's simply going to cause an assertion error, right? That's because I asserted it. Instead of asserting it, I can imagine having another if condition which says if slice underscore count is less than or equal to 0, then actually let's make both of these conditions less than, because 0 count gives you valid input and valid output. And this time I'm going to raise an arithmetic error saying that slice should be positive. Okay, so let's try the input value one more time, and now instead of getting assertion error, we are getting arithmetic error. Alright, that's it for today's lecture. Please make sure to try out all of the interactive exercises and the worksheets associated with today's lecture. In fact, today's lecture is going to be the last occurrence of interactive exercises, at least as far as I can remember. Please make sure to try out all of the interactive exercises up until today's lecture so that you'll get enough practice for the exam.